FIFA had just staged the richest World Cup in football history.
They made more money than they could ever have dreamed of.
The fans were still celebrating, Spain was still world champions, and Gianni Infantino, egghead, was already asking one question. How do we make even more money? Just 1 week after the final, FIFA unveiled a plan that shocked the football world. Turn the World Cup's commercial rights into a $20 billion company. Then sell part of it to private investors.
He is everything that is wrong with football personified, and he is trying to sell football to the highest bidder.
Not football associations, investors. One of the groups linked to the deal has direct ties to Donald Trump's family. UEFA immediately pushed back.
If you look at their public statements, they're saying no. Right? They've been increasingly annoyed.
Football associations erupted, and suddenly, the biggest threat to football wasn't happening on the pitch, it was coming from FIFA itself. By the end of this video, you'll understand why many believe this wasn't just another controversial decision. It was the moment FIFA's greed finally went too far. This wasn't a friendly proposal sitting on the table for nations to consider whenever they got around to it. Infantino attached a hard date to it, September 19th. Accept the plan by then, or the money disappears.
It's like, here, it just gives the energy of, hey, here's $20 billion, check this out, vote yes or no.
Here's what FIFA Forward Enterprise actually is, stripped of the corporate wrapping. FIFA makes its money through broadcast rights, sponsorship deals, ticket sales, and licensing. Under this plan, all of that gets pulled out of FIFA and dropped into one new for-profit company. That company would run the commercial side of the World Cup, the Club World Cup, and everything else FIFA touches. And once it's built, FIFA plans to sell 20 to 30% of it to private investors at a valuation of $20 billion.
And then he is, as you've outlined, proposing, and this is the controversial bit, to sell 21% of this to private investors.
That sale alone could bring in as much as $4.2 billion in cash.
But Infantino and FIFA have come out and put this out there about raising capital or desire to raise $4.2 billion.
The investor group leading this is called Thrive Eternal, and it's run by a man named Joshua Kushner. His brother is Jared Kushner, who's married to Ivanka Trump. So the man steering the money behind this deal sits inside Donald Trump's family circle.
And guess who is at the epicenter of it? It is Trump's son-in-law's brother. You know that Kushner family? Trump's son-in-law's brother is the architect of these plans. He is the epicenter of these plans. He is the heartbeat of these plans. And it is all so nepotistic. It is all so interwoven. And it is all so bent.
FIFA hasn't hidden this connection, but they haven't exactly advertised it either.
We always wondered, what did Infantino get out of it? And where was the money going back to Donald Trump and his family? Well, we found it. And the missing link is Joshua Kushner.
Now, here's the part that turns this from a proposal into an ultimatum. FIFA told all 211 member nations that if they don't back this plan by the deadline, they lose access to tens of millions of dollars in funding that was already promised to them. Wait too long and that funding gets cut by as much as 75%. Pause on it entirely, and some nations miss out completely.
You say no to the plan, and the pot shrinks from £7.5 billion to about £2 billion. The ball is in your court. Get back to us.
That's not a vote, that's a countdown clock with a price tag attached. And here's where things get strange. FIFA is legally registered as a non-profit organization under Swiss law.
FIFA are a non-profit. Officially, any kind of revenue they get, they have to reinvest into football.
A non-profit, selling a piece of itself for billions of dollars. Infantino insists he won't personally profit from any of this, and legally he set it up so the sale itself doesn't put money directly in his pocket. But look at the structure a little closer. Reports suggest that once his final term as president wraps up, Infantino could step into a new role as commissioner of this very same commercial entity, a job that would reportedly pay somewhere around $64 million a year. Compare that to the roughly $6 million he earns now as FIFA president.
It will be basically a new company that will basically, where he will be the commissioner, where he will sell minority stakes to private investors.
He says nothing has been decided. FIFA says the role has never even been discussed, but the outline of it is already sitting right there in plain view. Built into the plan he's asking the entire footballing world to approve by September 19th. Let's say out loud what most people in football already know deep down. Private equity firms don't hand over billions of dollars for a piece of the biggest sporting event on the planet just to sit back and let it stay exactly the way it is. That's not how investment works, and it never has been. Think about what an investor actually wants. They put money in and they expect that money to grow.
Investors, those private investors, they're going to expect returns. And what kind of returns are we talking about? Think about how you can maximize returns. Well, they're going to want to do it every single year.
There's only one direction that growth can come from with something like the World Cup. Expansion, more product, more inventory, more chances to sell tickets and airtime and sponsorships. That's the entire model. So picture what that expansion looks like in practice. More teams get added to the tournament. More games get squeezed into the calendar. The 4-year gap between World Cups starts looking like an outdated tradition instead of a fixed rule. And suddenly, there's serious talk of running it every 2 years instead.
The ticket prices are going to go up. The World Cups will become longer. It's going to start happening every 2 years eventually. So there's a big issue there.
Remember those hydration breaks that showed up at the 2026 World Cup, supposedly for player safety? Under a setup built to please shareholders, breaks like that stop being a health measure and start becoming a permanent slot for advertisers to fill.
Of advert breaks that were under the guise of hydration breaks about player welfare. When they were playing in air-conditioned stadiums, nothing made sense.
And ticket prices, already high, keep climbing past what an average family can afford to spend on a trip to watch their country play. That's not a guess about the future. It's already happening. Fans who went to 3 or 5 games at the World Cup were paying somewhere between $3,000 and $8,000 just to follow their own team through the tournament. That's not the cost of premium seats or hospitality packages. That's just the price of showing up.
And it's not just the tickets to the World Cup, it's the cost of flights, it's the cost of hotels, food, drink, transportation. You can't even walk to the MetLife Stadium for the final.
And it's not only the fans absorbing the cost of constant growth, the players are too. A report from FIFA Pro, the group representing professional footballers worldwide, found that top players at clubs like Arsenal, Real Madrid, and Barcelona get roughly 12% of the year to actually rest. Not train lightly, not do media appearances, just rest. Add more tournaments to chase more revenue, and that number doesn't hold steady. It shrinks. None of this is new territory for Infantino either. Back in 2018, he tried something almost identical with the Club World Cup, attempting to sell off a stake backed by money out of Saudi Arabia to help expand that competition and squeeze more value out of it. Football rejected that plan too. The pattern here isn't a one-time miscalculation, it's a strategy he keeps returning to. FIFA's line through all of this has been that nothing will change for the fans who love the game. That promise cannot survive contact with the people this deal brings to the table. Once outside shareholders own a piece of the World Cup's commercial engine, they have a legal expectation of returns. Nothing will change is not a business plan, it's a slogan, and it stops meaning anything the moment private capital gets a seat at the table.
Once private investors own a part of the World Cup's commercial side, the commercial future, it's driven by shareholder returns. It's driven by what these people want. It's driven by their decision making. You lose control of that.
For the first time in years, football's governing bodies didn't respond with a careful, rehearsed statement. They responded with something that actually sounded honest.
So we've had a situation where we've had statements from a lot of FAs saying, We're unhappy about the way this was done, but we need to see all the plans before we come out and tell you exactly what we think.
UEFA moved first, and they moved as one unit. All 55 of its member nations agreed to boycott every single FIFA competition, men's and women's, until this plan gets dropped completely. Not delayed, not adjusted, dropped.
To be that strong in their condemnation, basically saying we will not play in any form, women's, men's, qualifying, if this passes, this goes through.
That includes World Cup qualifiers, meaning countries like France, Spain, and England were suddenly on record saying they'd rather skip football's biggest stage than take part in this deal. UEFA didn't soften the language either. Their statement called this governance by intimidation and said plainly that the World Cup was never FIFA's to sell in the first place. Those aren't the words of an organization trying to keep the peace. Those are the words of an organization drawing a hard line and daring FIFA to cross it.
And Sky Sports News understands there is a willingness to use the threat of a boycott if Infantino pushes ahead with the plans.
Then, CONCACAF followed. The federation covering North and Central America held its own emergency meeting and came out rejecting the proposal too, pointing to the same lack of transparency UEFA had already called out. Even the Asian Football Confederation, historically one of Infantino's most reliable blocks of support, started showing cracks, with member nations openly asking why they'd been kept in the dark on something this big. Here's why Infantino pushed this deal the way he did in the first place. His actual base of support has never been the wealthy football nations. It's the smaller federations, the ones who need funding badly enough that they'll take the money without asking too many questions about where it came from or what strings are attached. Offer a country tens of millions of dollars it wouldn't otherwise see for years, and plenty of federations will vote yes without blinking.
There's going to be a lot of smaller federations who have an equal vote, an equal say, who are going to probably vote yes because of the funding.
But that math has a hole in it. FIFA only needs a simple majority of its 211 member nations to pass this, and on paper, Infantino could probably find that majority without a single European vote.
But what we want is we want a majority of you, so 106 votes will do, to say yes please to the private equity bit.
The problem is what that majority would actually be worth. A World Cup without Germany, Spain, France, England, and the rest of Europe isn't the same product anyone signed up to invest billions of dollars into. The investors backing this deal aren't buying into the idea of the World Cup. They're buying into the version that features the biggest teams and the biggest audiences, and that version doesn't exist without Europe in it. This was never framed as a plan to grow the game. It was a plan to decide who gets to own a piece of it, dressed up in language about reinvestment and opportunity. FIFA had just wrapped up the richest tournament in its history, with money already pouring in faster than ever before, and that moment became the exact instant Infantino reached too far.
And it's almost like he invited this whole mess onto himself.
Football has absorbed plenty from this man over the past decade. This is the one plan that pushed nearly every major confederation into open revolt at the same time. Right now, nobody knows whether Infantino backs down, calls UEFA's bluff, or finds some version of this deal that survives the fallout. Football is just watching, waiting to see if greed finally goes too far.
Kind of insane. Every time I think FIFA has taken it too far in Infantino, they say, hold my beer, and they take it even further.